Hi, welcome to the Youth News. My name is Janae, and Youth News is a place for the next generation to share all their opinions on the hot topics affecting us every day. With me, I'm joined by Lauren in studio and Ethiok from Colombia. Now, let's get into it. So, if you're on social media, if you are on TikTok, then you've probably seen these content creators who have named themselves Big Groove and Yeti Gang TV, or he also calls himself Chicken Boy. Now, these creators have garnered millions of views. And some people think their videos are harmless, but many people online, specifically on Twitter, have said their popularity is a sign of the rise in minstrel culture. Now, you may be wondering, Janae, what is minstrel culture? Well, basically, it dates back to minstrel shows that were performed in the 19th and 20th centuries, where white performers would dress in blackface and perform skits, dances, and other acts. I mean, look at their big smiles, their kind of goofy expressions, making fun of black people. So after hearing this definition, let's watch a couple of videos from these creators so you can see it for yourself. So that's Chicken Boy, and then that's Big Groove.
Listen, we had Duke Chicago style chicken. They say it's so good. How you switching? Hold on. Give it to me, baby. Look at it.
So after watching these videos, let's discuss. Are these videos harmless or are they something else?
I think anyone who considers these videos as harmless, I don't know what rock they've been living under, but do they not know the history behind this? Oh my gosh, it makes my skin crawl.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw my face, but I was genuinely disgusted because it's almost like they're making caricatures of themselves and they're black men. And the voices he's using, it's very much like in Dumbo, how like they had the crows where these white men were pretending to be black people. It was very similar to that, like you're making these caricatures of what people think black people sound like. I mean, what do you think, Ethiok?
Well, I would say, at least for me, from my perspective, is that when it comes to things like this, I have a very, very different mindset upon it. I think
Okay.
whenever you go through and you make fun of the things that people may try to use to bother you, that can take away their power. So I go through and I say that if people look at this in the context of, okay, these are a group of black men, they're making a mockery of something that used to happen back in America during the 50s, the 40s, the 30s, everything like that, then right there, I believe it does take a lot of power away from people trying to utilize that. And after a while, something loses its meaning, something loses its power. And that's just my perspective on there. I looked at a lot of offensive comedy. So this right here, for me, I would say, is not even scratching the surface of offensive things that I've seen. And I've seen a lot of very offensive things. But I think
No,
if we go
I
through
agree.
and we as minorities allow ourselves to, I guess, let this hurt us to our core, those that truly hate us are going to say, okay, I can use that to hurt you. But if you go through and say, well, that doesn't really hurt me at all, then now what tools do they have? You give them less weapons for them to utilize in their arsenal against you.
See, I view it as I don't think these people know the historical context. I don't think they're doing these caricatures just to be like, haha, I'm doing this, you can't do it to me. I feel like they think this is funny. To be honest, I don't think they're that smart because the big guy, his name is Big Groove, but it used to be called Dancing Gorilla.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's deciding to dehumanize himself by calling him a gorilla, it's like you're totally ignoring the decades or centuries of people, specifically white people, using racist caricatures against you and dehumanizing who you are. Like you're not human.
And you're spot on with that too, because I was watching one of his interviews recently, and like just the whole like gorilla term, and he was explaining that, and he said the reason why he embraces that is because he actually thinks that as a society we've progressed so much that if he uses that term, in today's age compared to years ago, that it's less offensive because we've moved on past that, and it's how he actually views himself. And I was like, are you serious? Because I can tell you right now, and just think about the example he's setting for our young black boys too. And if I ever have a son and he tells me he wants to emulate someone like that, I will sit him down and say, look here, if you even think about that, I will slap you into the next century.
Exactly.
You are dehumanizing yourself and your ancestors.
Yeah, and why are he calling the other guy calling himself Chicken Boy? Like, it's this. I know Ethiopia saying maybe they're doing it just to like poke fun of it, but I feel like you are a black man. His content is mostly eating food, and you're calling yourself Chicken Boy. I mean, fried chicken black people. It's a dangerous caricature and stereotype that I'm sick of. I don't need people asking
I'm guessing
me,
it's
oh, you like chicken? I don't know.
Yeah, and why would you assume that just because I'm black, like I like chicken?
Yeah.
That's the funny thing. I would say I turn it to, I guess, I see that a lot of the perspectives from other people. I would say, especially a lot of people that maybe they have roots here in America. Because again, for me, my roots are not in America. I am pretty much from my mom and dad, their third set of kids. I am American born. The rest of them, my dad grew up in Nigeria, and he was pretty much under a time when they had military rule. My mom grew up in St. Lucia in the Caribbean. So how they view things is very different. And even then I can say, an anecdotal like remark to me is that I was on Instagram one time, and I think I like to like peeve people off a little bit on Instagram. Whenever they go through, they say things. I just like point the fingers back at them or anything like that. And I remember this guy went underneath my comment and he put the picture of a gorilla underneath my comment. And I went through and I said, bro, you're right. I am built like a gorilla. And that turned it against him. And then I took that emoji and I put it in my bio. And I said, welcoming the Gorilla King. So I look at it this way. People will try to throw salt in your eyes. But if you go through and you wipe it out, you put it in a cup of water and you gargle it, and you say, I needed that for my throat. I was feeling a little bit sick. What are they going to do? They don't have any weapons to use against you anymore. So I think it's all about perspective and seeing for everything. Of course, some places this could be seen as very, very offensive, and I understand that. Other places, this could be seen as, haha, this is funny. And I guess it's from everybody's perspective. And either way, we still need to be careful how we portray this, because what happens if in the future something else comes out like this? We're in the day of the internet now, where anything can come back to hit you in the face, and they're on a public platform. So I think that's the one thing that I would say that's a little of a concern to me, is that this could come back to bite them, dependent upon what they're trying to get into later on in the future, and who they're trying to associate with.
Right.
I agree. I totally agree with what you said. With their platform, they need to be more responsible about the images they're portraying. And black men eating chicken, I mean, even with that video of him just crossing his legs, it was giving very much minstrel show to me.
Exactly.
And hopefully, I think the way to resolve these issues is just education. I hope that someone close to them can be like, hey, you're making probably millions of dollars on TikTok because you garnered millions of views, you have sponsorships. I think the biggest draw or the solution will be to sit them down and educate them. And maybe they'll make some changes, maybe they'll change their content. But I think that's a great way to end this conversation. What do you think? Do you think Chicken Boy and Grooving Gorilla are harmless, or do you think they're dangerous to the community? Please share your thoughts in the comments or tag us at WatchYNN.